So we're in the studio with Satch to talk about her new work, which is an homage to Sixto Rodriguez, the singer-songwriter. She'll be showing that new work at the Mass Avenue Wine Shop in downtown Indianapolis. So can you tell us a little bit why this particular person inspired you to do this work?
Well, I'm probably like a lot of people. I never heard of Rodriguez until this year. There was a documentary film that was made, and I had the opportunity to view the film here in Indianapolis, and I found myself to be very inspired by his life, his music, and probably mostly by his lyrics, the words that he wrote, the poetry that he put to music.
Okay, is he a new artist? Is he an older artist? Briefly, why is his story significant to you?
He is not a new artist. Excuse me. He actually made 2 records back in the 1970s. He was in Detroit, Michigan at the time, and he wrote the music back in the 70s, and it just did not catch on here in America. It kind of slowly faded away, or quickly faded away, I guess I should say. So like many people, I hadn't heard his music until it was resurrected here with the documentary film.
Okay. What about his art and how it resonated within the world spoke to you?
I guess the part that spoke to me was how he wrote the music and how the music reached another part of the world without him even realizing it, and how strong his words were, that they really uplifted and brought promise and change to a group of people that were really struggling at the time and needed that message. And through his music and his words, he was a leader to people that never knew him, and he was not even aware at the time that it was happening.
Where was this at?
South Africa, during the anti-apartheid movement, so many years ago. And ends up, his music was more popular than the Beatles and Rolling Stones and Elvis Presley. I mean, he really had a stronghold for the people of that area and that generation.
For somebody who wants to check it out, what was the name of that documentary?
It's called Searching for Sugar Man. And I just found out today that it is on the short list for an Oscar. It's been nominated for an Oscar for Best Documentary Film.
Okay. In the material that you're presenting in this exhibit, there are 3 separate approaches that you took to express your feelings and thoughts about Rodriguez's work. Would you care to talk about each one of those?
When you talk about 3 separate, do you mean materials and presentation?
Correct. There are 2 letters that are utilized, and then there are a couple of screens and a couple of boxes.
Yes. One of the things that I challenged myself with as an artist on this project was to keep the work simple and true, because I feel like that's how he presents his work as well. But also, I was amazed to find out that even today he is still working as a laborer in Detroit. Excuse me, I'm sorry. chokes me up a little bit. And as a laborer, he is working with demolished homes and buildings and doing construction work. And as an artist myself, I've always strived to repurpose and recycle a lot of materials that I use in my art. So I kind of put those two ideas together. So 2 pieces, I've used a wood construction and nails, and then the other 2 pieces I've repurposed items. I've used a movie projector screen, probably from the 1970s, I would say is the vintage on that as well. And I used those 2 screens for a painting canvas. So recycled those into art. And then the last 2 pieces are 2 metal letters. They actually came from a fellow creative artist here in Indianapolis named Mike Lip. And Mike had contacted me through my website and said, I like your work and would you like some free materials? He had pulled them out of a dumpster and they were originally part of a Porsche dealership sign. And as luck would have it, there was an S and an R, which are the correct initials that I needed for the work. So I was able to incorporate and repurpose the letters.
Your use of text in a lot of your work is obviously very important to you, and it seems obvious this time how that would have been a part of your work since the words were so important. Mm-hmm. How did you go through and decide which words you would use of his in your particular pieces?
It started by watching the movie and listening to the soundtrack. And there were times watching the movie where a certain phrase would just really hit home. And it would hit home on how universal it was and how the message was so timeless. And so shortly afterwards, got the soundtrack, and I probably did most of my editing by listening to the soundtrack. And I didn't count, but I'm sure it's over 100 times now. And listening over and over to the lyrics allowed me to edit it down to particular messages that I wanted to include in the art itself.
Wrapping up, I guess I just have one more question, and that would be, if you had the chance to say something to Rodriguez, what would that be?
That's a good question. I probably would be starstruck, number one. I probably would have trouble talking to him. He's not our typical Hollywood icon. But I just think that if I did meet him, for what he's accomplished and the way he has accomplished it as an artist, I probably could just barely get out a thank you. But that's probably the message I'd want to say to him is thank you.